Hey. So today is going to be special. I have my girls in here. This is day 3. It's been amazing. When we thought about, starting this event and having the theme, the Blooming Lotus, it was important for us to really just lend our voice to the 16 days of activism and most importantly, bring in the right, people, the experts. And it's been so beautiful. On the first day, we had the role of faith-based organizations. We heard from a Christian leader, a Muslim woman who also is a strong advocate for mental health. Then we had one of the speakers share her personal experience. Chinwe joined us from the UK.
Mhm.
Yesterday we had the men as
Yeah.
allies.
Yeah.
Yesterday was interesting. The men refused to go.
See?
We were on for at least an hour, 30 minutes. And I mean, each session should be about an hour, but the men were like, they held forth, even going as far as coming up with solutions that could, help solve the problem, especially when it comes to when women are in a threat situation.
Mhm.
And I thought it was so powerful. So let me officially welcome those who are watching us live on YouTube. I want to get the link and share
Okay.
with you ladies
Mhm.
so that you can share with your communities as well. And everyone can just be a part of the conversation. If you're on YouTube, say hello. Let us know where you are joining us from so we can give you a shout out. We can give you a shout out. Okay. I'm very excited about today. So, Fina, tell us a little bit about what the weather is like where you are. I know you're in the UK. Are
I
you in the
am,
UK?
yeah, yeah. It's it's
Okay.
it's quite cold now. It
Is
rained
it?
a bit, so the rain has kind of calmed things down.
Wow.
But yeah, still I've got my heater on. But yeah, oh,
Wow. Okay. So it's
mhm,
getting cold here in
yeah.
Abuja. So
Hmm.
the Hamatan season is here.
Hmm.
However, afternoons could be extremely hot,
Hot.
like
Yeah.
burning. But
Mm.
I noticed today that scorching sun was no longer,
Mm.
anywhere to be found.
Oh, that's
And
good.
I was very excited about that.
Hmm. Hmm.
Our final speaker for tonight is here.
Okay.
Mental health with DT. I'm excited to have her. Like I've never met her. I don't even think we've spoken. Someone recommended her and we had a chat. I don't think we even talked, but she was so quick to say, yes, I want to be a part of this. And I really celebrate her because it takes a very heart-centered person
Mm.
who has no idea who you are, what you're doing, but is so passionate about what you're doing. And
Yeah.
she just says yes,
Yeah.
like no questions asked. So I welcome her to this meeting. I want to add her to the spotlight. Where are you, lady? Turn on your video. We need you right here.
Sorry,
Hey,
Hey.
I just ran home like I'm coming from work and I'm like, God, I hope my traffic and everything. Okay, I made it.
perfect. You made it.
You made
You
it.
made
Yes,
it.
I did. I did.
Hi,
Good evening, everyone.
Adedoju.
Good evening.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
Good
I was just
evening.
saying, I'm not even sure that we talked. I don't even know what you look like. This is the first time I'm seeing you like on video. You didn't even know me. Someone recommended you, and you were just so passionate about what we're doing, and you said yes. So I really thank you, and I
Mm.
celebrate you.
So, thank you. I'm crazy about mental health. So, when you mention mental health, I jump even in my sleep because I know how difficult it is. And then for the 16 days, I am like, people think I'm crazy. Like, I wear orange since Monday. They're like, what is
Mm,
going on? I'm like, you don't understand. And this thing
Mm.
is very close to my heart. So,
mm.
I'm very honored to join the conversation.
Thank you. And I think we're just even going to kick off with you because
Okay.
when it comes to the effect of what women have to deal with, whether it be victims, whether it be survivors, there's a whole lot of mental health conversations I feel we're not having enough, and you hear cases of women who come out of one abusive relationship and find her. Where is she? I need to pin her. So I'm going to pin her for a second. Can I find her? Okay, her video is off.
I'm right
Okay,
here.
there she
I'm
is.
just trying to get a proper light.
No, you're
I'm
good.
like,
Lighting is good.
okay,
You're good.
light is
You're
good.
good.
Your
Okay,
lighting was good, yeah. It was good.
Lighting is
okay,
good. Perfect.
Mm.
okay.
Just breathe. Breathe.
Thank you,
So
thank you.
we're gonna kick off with you because there's no particular order, but I just love how you came in and went straight to the fact that, this is dear to your heart. And I feel let's talk about mental health because there are cases of women who come out of one abusive relationship and they get into another one. And it's almost as though like, did you not learn before? And I feel we are downplaying just how traumatizing even for little girls who probably witnessed their mothers being abused and maybe they figured that was the definition of love and then they got into marriages that was a replica of what they saw and they still think it's love like there's so many angles I can touch right now but I just want you to lay the foundation on the role of mental health when it comes to violence against women.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you for that question. So I'll just start by having a cue from a client I had, I think sometime last year. And she
Mm,
cried so much and said, I hate my mom.
mm,
I'm like, why do you hate your mom? She said, my mom did not tell me the realities of marriage.
mm,
And if I've spoken to 100 people in therapy, 90 of them have been women in abusive relationships. So it's a big deal.
mm,
But people do not understand that gender-based violence and mental health are twin,
mm,
inseparable, separable twins. So I take it there are two things you had talked about. The fact that people move from a very bad relationship to the next. And young girls grow up and see what their perception of love means, and they go into it and they're not happy. So it is a vicious
absolutely.
circle. There's a
Mm,
vicious circle of gender-based violence. And it starts from childhood. It is what you see that you learn. It
mm,
is what you're surrounded with that you know. And that's
mm,
going to build your outlook to self and to life. So
mm,
many people, they get out of a bad relationship, they didn't heal, they didn't forgive themselves, the person, they didn't even go to seek help to understand their own aspects, what they have played, where they have played down, on what aspect they have played in that relationship. They did not heal. But because they feel the only thing that completes them, which is our societal norm that makes you think as a woman, the only
mm,
thing that completes you is that marriage, that perceptive marriage that we know. So the next
mm,
thing she feels like, okay, this did not work. It might not just be me. I didn't have
mm,
anything to do with it. Let's jump to the next best thing. So the place of moving from one bad, so you just because you're gonna just still attract the same kind of people
right.
because you don't even know yourself. So what I tell people is that you cannot move it away. And the impact on mental health is enormous. Why I say it's very dear to me, I have faced my own fair share. But my own is not physical abuse. It was emotional, which is even worse. You know, when
Mm,
someone is not talking to you, person is not explaining to you, the person takes erratic actions, you feel like you're lost. And
mm,
then going back to the fact that we only see ourselves in the eyes of the way this um person looks at you. So this
mm,
person sees you as beautiful, amazing. The day the person stops seeing you that way, you stop seeing yourself because you're only seeing yourself from the eyes of that person. So that's the
wow.
place where you have to start healing from. Okay, this relationship didn't work. Where did I go wrong? The going wrong
Mm,
doesn't necessarily mean that you have done something, but it might be that you also allowed to be treated badly.
wow.
And because maybe you don't know how to be treated better. So that's why you
Mm,
must seek help, you must ask for help, you must understand yourself and take responsibility of where you played. I remember when I was
wow.
going to, and I went to therapy, the first question therapist asked me is, why do you think your husband cheated? And I'm like, I had 100 reasons why I thought he cheated. I was not good enough. I was not listening. I was not. And she said, never take responsibility for another person's action.
Mm.
That's that
Pause.
word.
Just pause. Like we need
Word.
to
Yeah.
we need to stay on this.
And so that
Mm.
word, please, let's just carry on because I can go over.
No, no, we need to stay on this because It's so powerful. Never take responsibility for another
Mm,
person's action.
mm,
It's and I think if you look at how we've been raised, especially
mm,
on this side of the world, this side of the
mm,
divide, it feels as
mm,
though for women, like you're responsible for everything.
mm,
If a
mm,
man
No,
cheats,
every
it's your
bad
fault.
thing, every bad thing,
Okay, yeah.
mm. That's
So let me
true.
rephrase every bad thing.
Mm,
So the
mm,
children don't turn out good, it's your
it's your
fault. You didn't raise
responsibility. It's
them
your fault.
right. The husband cheats,
mm,
you probably
It's your
didn't look
fault.
good enough. You're not, you gained too much weight. You're not looking sexy enough. You're not cooking enough. Wow. I said we should unpack it, but let's not even unpack it. Let's just keep it. Let's keep it first.
mm.
Fina, I want to come to you.
Yes.
You are a parenting coach. I'm going to pin you
Mhm.
right now. You are a parenting coach. You are a parent yourself of just exceptional kids. I follow your work. I see the amazing work your sons are doing. And of course, do accept, my deepest condolence. I know that you were recently bereaved. You lost your dear husband. And please accept my condolence. And I pray that God continues to strengthen your heart. I wasn't even sure if you were, readily available so soon, but I'm just thankful that you're here. So I don't even take it for granted that you're here. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want you to shed some light on parenting. How are we raising our sons? How are we raising our daughters? What can we do better so that we really start to tackle this from the root? Because on Monday, I remember Pastor Fanny talking about, she was speaking from the Christian perspective of the role of faith-based organizations, and she shared how the family is the first church.
Yes.
And I really agree. There's a lot that is happening out there, and we need to bring it back home to really ask ourselves, how are we raising our sons? How are we raising our daughters? What kind of environment are we, creating in our home? And what's the language? What's the narrative it's allowing our children to pick up? Please shed some light on this for us.
Yes, thank you so much, Naomi, and thank you so much for this platform. It's so important that our voices are heard in these, especially in these kind of topics, because these are when we talk about, this gender-based violence. It didn't start in this generation. It's been
Mm,
passing down. It's been
mm,
passing down. It's been passing down.
mm,
And so, if
mm.
we don't do much about it in this generation, it's going to continue to pass down.
I
So, it's
promise
a
you.
great platform that you have here talking about it.
Thank you. Thank
And the lady on Monday is so right. The
you.
family is the first church.
Mm,
It's from the family that children pick up their perceptions, their beliefs, their
mm,
assumptions,
mm,
everything starts from when they're growing up. And then
mm,
Aditun just actually talked about how people come into this stuff, they've not healed.
mm.
So we're looking at a lot of parents, unhealed parents,
Hey, hey.
who are
Mm,
repeating the cycle over and over again
mm.
unintentionally. There's no one's
Yes.
waking up in the morning to say, oh, gender violence, let's promote it. No, but it's just
Mm.
from habits that they've learned. And our culture is a culture based on shame. There's
Hey.
everything to
Mm,
do with, oh, let's not do this because people will say this. Let's not do
mm,
this because people will say that. And this is globally. When you talk about African culture, it's a global
mm,
thing. Whether Africans are abroad or in Nigeria, it doesn't matter.
mm,
Because this is something we've picked up from when we were kids. A culture of
mm,
shame. So therefore, if a parent is even going through violence, domestic violence, the parent is afraid to leave that domestic violence because what will
mm,
people say?
mm.
And children, remember children, they may not always listen to you, but guess what? They will always copy what you do.
Right.
So when I hear from mothers who are tolerating abuse and maybe dismissing it and saying, oh, it's just how he is. He's just an angry person. We just have to manage. God is in control.
Mm,
Huh?
mm,
We're doing all this. And then, so what's the expectation of our children? Because our children are watching it. And to our children, this is normal. When the father comes in the house, and we're talking it more about, because there are a lot of the violence. I know that there's violence against men, but majority
Right.
of the violence is against women.
Absolutely.
When sometimes some men will come home, the whole house is frozen. Everybody's just jumping to go hide in one place because of the anger and the outburst that will happen. And then the mothers are just tolerating it. Oh, just manage your father. Just manage him. The boys are learning. This is
Hmm.
what it means to be a boy, a man. Okay. And they will
Hmm.
do the same thing. We've seen it. I've been doing this parenting coach for
Hmm.
over 15 years. The kids repeat the same thing. Unless something
What's
changed.
Yes. Because
Unless, yeah.
I'm just like, what's the way out? Because again, you also hear cases of women who are like, but I'm staying for the children.
Oh, that's the
I'm
worst
staying for the
excuse.
children.
Worst
And it's not
excuse.
even for, some will argue it's because maybe the women are not financially empowered. There are women who are financially empowered who are still choosing to stay for the children. How can you still stay?
Mhm.
And this is where, of course, you're not in harm's way
Yes.
because there are cases that can be managed,
Yes.
especially when you know you're not in danger. When you're in
Mhm.
danger, it's not even negotiable.
Mhm.
But there are things these boys are picking, that these girls are picking, that might not even necessarily be, a hit left, right, and center.
Mhm.
How do you still stay and thrive and also nurture your kids in a way that they don't pick this? Is it even possible?
It is
Is
possible.
that
Very,
okay?
very possible. Very, very
Please
possible.
give us some perspective on that.
And I tell you, yeah, mothers, we don't sometimes realize the power we have in the homes. We have a
Hmm.
lot of power. And I tell you what I mean by this. And I'm going to use myself as an example as well. I'm going to be vulnerable and use myself as an example in some of the
Thank you.
cases.
Hmm.
So, mothers, we have power. And we also have that intuition to use our wisdom. A lot
Hmm.
of times in the homes, yes, you give respect to the man as the man of the house. That's what we've been taught. Fine. But even though when you even think about it, the man of the house is actually the spiritual leader of the house, that spiritual leader. But we always kind of make it an assumption that it's the whole thing. That's fine,
Hmm.
not a problem. The
Hmm.
key now is how can we use our power with wisdom to influence our children to do better? I'll give you
Right.
some examples. Number one is that we should really not join in the gender-based roles. Oh, come and learn how to cook. My daughter must be in the kitchen while the boy must be sitting down because the boys do not enter kitchen.
Hmm.
Where did that come from? It's from what
Hmm.
we learned. So
Hmm.
again, even if you're in a home where the dad has all the control and all that kind of stuff is going on, but there's a way that you can nurture your children to start to
Hmm.
see the genders as equal.
Right.
Okay, so start to imbibe those kind of things. Let everyone do the same kind of work. The boys come and cook in the kitchen. My boys cook in the kitchen. My girl will cook in the kitchen. Let
Hmm.
boys wash dishes. Let them do the things that the girls are doing. So just make sure that you're bringing up your children in such a way that there are no differences in gender. Some
Right.
parents will dismiss something that maybe a boy aggressively hits the sister. They will say, oh, that's just a boy. He's just being
Hmm.
a boy. No, he's not just being a boy. That's aggression. So
Hmm.
in a way, mothers, we can stop that as they're growing. The earlier we stop it in the early years, the children then see it as normal that, okay, no, we need to respect each other as with different genders. So that's
Right.
one way to do it. The other way is that we need to encourage empathy and kindness in our homes. When two
Hmm.
siblings are quarreling, are you favoring one over the other?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Are you comparing the children together?
Hmm.
These are things because we want to create harmony in the homes, and it's so possible, irrespective of what's going on.
It's possible.
Okay. When
Hmm.
you then, another thing with parents, when you have a partner who is being aggressive towards you, either verbally or emotionally or whatever, we're taught as Christians, that happened to me, we're taught as Christians to just don't say anything, act peacefully. It's all good.
Hmm.
God is in control. But the
Hmm.
children are seeing it as normal, and we don't
Hmm.
do that. So in my case, what I did, I would not reply back because I didn't even grow up with those confrontational things. So I won't reply back, but I will go behind to the kids to say, this is a way that could have done it better.
Hmm.
Again, I'm not speaking against that. I'm just saying
Hmm.
this is a way dad could have done it better. Okay.
Wow.
another example that I have, and my kids, they laugh at me even up to today when we remember it. So because dad grew up in an environment where there was a lot of verbal insults, so he can call them a name. And as soon as he
Mm,
leaves and they're going back upstairs, I will run behind them and I'll say, "You're smart, you're wise." I'll be affirming them. I'll be affirming them because I
mm,
need to counteract those things that were
Yeah.
said. Do you know
mm,
what I mean? I need to
mm,
counteract it. I mean, we all laugh about it now. And even with dad
mm,
before he passed, these are things that we talked about and laughed about. But in those moments, especially in their early years, I would always counteract it.
wow. Wisdom,
So that's what I'm saying.
wisdom.
Is that wisdom thing. So you don't have to fight, you don't have to be aggressive, but you have the power with your children. You
You
have
have the
you have it.
power.
Don't go and make it so obvious that, oh, my children only listen to me. My this No, you just have
Wisdom.
the power of, as a woman who has
Hmm,
actually gone through her own healing. Because if we don't
mm.
heal, we can't do this.
My point exactly. I was going to say this is not for the faint-hearted.
No,
This is not for the one who is broken looking for a
nope,
way out.
nope.
So we must do the work to heal, to be able to raise, emotionally stable children. Okay, Fina, thank you.
You're
Hold your
welcome.
thoughts. I'm coming back to you. I
Okay.
want to bring Victoria. Now, Victoria, you are a champion in the field of education. You've worked with school owners as the visionary behind School Medics Consulting. I mean, you're my personal person. We're so personal that we're together in the same office space. We saw yesterday. We're actually supposed to go hang out today. And I've, been in your space for years. What is the role of education? So I want to look at education and even educators, school owners, the role of teachers. So you have kind of like multiple angles, but maybe we should start from education and then we'll
Yeah.
look at the role of educators, those who own
Yeah.
schools or learning centers, and even down to the teachers, because
Yeah.
I would often say that apart from the holidays, our kids spend a lot more time at school
Yeah.
than, at home, because by the time they come back late afternoon, lunch, maybe home lessons, dinner time, then it's
Yeah.
bedtime. The waking, more of the waking hours and active hours are
Yeah.
in schools. So
Yeah.
teachers can't be left out of this equation.
Yeah.
Recently, and she might be watching, a friend of mine told me about a child who reported something to his mother, and the mother came to school with whatever the son said, came and in front of other children slapped the teacher. And that thing just traumatized the
Yeah.
teacher. It traumatized the kids. And she said, my phone has been buzzing, parents are calling, and they're looking for an explanation. So when she said it to me, I said, chances are high that this might be a woman who's been
Yeah.
abused. I'm not
Yeah.
even going to first condemn her. This might just have been an avenue for her to vent. Unfortunately, it was the wrong
Yeah.
person, the wrong place, the wrong time, and there is no excuse for doing that.
Yeah.
So let's
Yeah.
start the role of education.
I always say, Naomi, and I think what you just described reflects that a school is like it's a microcosm of society. So whatever you see reflected in society, you're going to definitely see it filtering into the classroom, filtering into the school community. But we're also really fortunate as educators, as teachers, school owners, school leaders, because we have the opportunity, a very unique opportunity, to shape the narrative for the future. So
Mm,
the first thing I want to say is that the role that as educators that we get to play is that we have to break the silence. We're not in the
mm,
homes, affecting the decisions in the home, but the real enemy here is silence. Silence
mm,
is what causes, violence, gender-based violence, any kind of abuse to foster. And while we may not be able to come into the home to have these conversations within the family, truth is many times, especially for young children, they're going to bring it right to school. They're actually
right.
going to come and tell the teacher everything, or they're going to come and,
just act it out with their peers, act it out with their teachers, just like you described. And when it's not the children, it's the teachers, it's the staff who are experiencing these things, and you can see it in their countenance, or it's the school leaders who are engaging with parents and become recipients of frustrations from the parents. So, what can
Mm,
we do beyond breaking the silence? We're in a very unique situation where we can actually shape the narrative in terms of social emotional learning. Now, in our
mm,
culture, and many cultures of the world, education is viewed as a very cognitive um, focus. So all that matters
mm,
is how many A stars does the child have, how many,
mm,
A's do they have. That's all that matters. But we know from World War I all the way down, I mean, you can see that reflected in the development of several curricula, is that education cannot just be a cognitive effort. There has to be the emotive as well. We have to look at how curriculum must be value laden. We have to look at the ways that the curriculum can be used to provide a much more broad and balanced curriculum. So in terms of
mm,
shaping the curriculum, even if your prescribed curriculum doesn't outright say you need to focus on, values, you need to focus on social emotional learning. Increasingly, we're seeing that any school that understands child development and the development of society understands that it has a duty, a responsibility to ensure that it's providing an age appropriate and a robust social emotional learning program that touches on these kinds of issues. And there's
mm,
so many issues to address in terms of social emotional learning. So I'm not just talking about that one-off assembly,
mm.
in a school term or in a school
Right.
year. I'm talking about a full-fledged program that takes into consideration such societal issues as the nature of relationships, as the nature of resilience, as the nature of mental health, and the way that different genders interact with each other. Now, the
Mm,
Ministry of Education in Australia has a really, really good example of, what they call the Resilience, Rights, and Respectful Relationships Framework that
wow.
actually outlines all the way from kindergarten, because you really
Mm,
need to catch them young. Right from the
mm,
age of 4 or 5 years old, children are already beginning to emulate the relationship dynamics that they see at home, in their church community, in school as well. So, making sure that you have a curriculum that incorporates social emotional learning is critical. But that
mm,
social emotional learning curriculum has to be robust enough that it covers all the way from a very young age through to high school, and
right.
provides consistency throughout the curriculum. Another really important dynamic that oftentimes is overlooked is the relationship, and I'll talk about something called the Epstein's relationship model, parental engagement model here. The Epstein's parental engagement model basically talks about the different fronts that school systems and school communities can shape the parental engagement conversation. And one of
Mm,
those six spheres is actually parenting. In the modern age, schools play a pivotal role in actually educating parents on how to parent, basically.
mm,
So parents and schools now have such a unique dynamic that schools have to share with parents um, information about developmental psychology, information about the kinds of focuses that they should have in raising their children, because there's no more village to raise our children. The school,
mm.
place of worship, is now the major village that helps
Wow.
groom young parents and equip them with the kind of focus that they need to have in terms of supporting the efforts that are taking place in school. So that relationship between the SEL curriculum in school being supported by parents at home
Mm,
is critical. Yeah.
wow. Wow. I hear you. And I mean, there are many examples I believe we can see when we look at you know, the other side of the divide. I don't want to use third world or any second world or first world, the other side of the divide. How can we bring this back home? I mean, what are some of the baby steps for an educator, a school owner, or someone influencing the education sector? How can we bring some of these things back home? Just baby steps. Like, can we even start somewhere where we're very intentional? Because you're right, I mean, the school and the local places of worship is
Mhm,
practically the village.
mhm,
There is no village
mhm.
anymore. The well,
Exactly.
you may want to add the internet streets. That's another village now raising our children.
Yeah.
The internet streets. But yeah, tell us, give us a couple of baby steps, and then we're gonna come to a date Dotun to share more insights on the role of mental health. So give us baby steps. What can we begin to do?
I urge every school leader to ensure that at the beginning of every school year, and if you're not able to capture this in your professional development planning for the
Mm,
school year, at least before the term starts. So we always have these professional development sessions. Ideally, you want to do it at the beginning of the school year, but if you can't, it's never too late to start just before you commence the next term. So in January, that's a perfect time to do training and to collaborate as a team to look at what is our social emotional learning curriculum. What are the
mm,
values that we are espousing as a community? What are the issues that we are bringing attention to in the
mm,
community? So how can we tie this? It's always really, really difficult for school owners, school leaders, teachers to think about, oh my gosh, we have to cover this curriculum, we have to cover everything. But there's always a way where you can tie into the curriculum through your assemblies, through
Circle time.
your circle time, through even just I always say the visible curriculum. So it's not only about what you say, what you engage with the children on. There's always place for that in civic education. But what about the walls in your school? The walls in your school,
Mm,
that's visible learning. They espouse the values that you have as a
mm,
community. And there's
mm,
it's silent reinforcement of the values
mm,
that the school cherishes. Every time that
mm,
you send a newsletter home, every time you send an email home, it's an opportunity for you to share as a community what you
mm.
value. And the parents will
Wow.
typically use that as a cue to discuss, with their children. And even simple things like the celebrations that you choose to focus on, the awards
Mm,
that you choose to focus on. Are you constantly focusing only on academic awards? What kind of
mm.
behaviors do you reward as part of your behavioral
Wow.
policy? What
Mm,
kind of days do you celebrate? Do you just celebrate only the book days, only the International Child Day, or do you also focus on things like this?
Day
Everything.
of kindness, day of kindness.
Day
Even
of
maybe
kindness.
start a kindness club or something. I mean, I'm
Exactly.
just in awe.
Extracurricular activities. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
So there's
just
so
in
many
awe.
opportunities.
So
Yeah.
many opportunities. I think I just had like goose chills when you talked about the
Yeah.
visual representation. Yeah, there's a lot of
Yes.
walls. Like instead of
Absolutely.
just leaving plain walls or putting
Absolutely.
1 times 1 equals 1,
Yes.
2 times 1, can we
Yes.
even start putting all of these things
Yes.
intentionally? And I'm hoping
Absolutely. Hmm.
um, this is being captured by those watching online. I've told
Yeah.
the team we
Yeah.
have to sort of come out with an
Hmm.
article or a white paper
Hmm.
or something of some sort. And
Yeah.
I'm going to circle back to just put in some of the responses and the
Absolutely.
feedback we're getting. I'm just in awe. Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
for just giving us, showing us that this is doable. We can fix this. Go
Can
ahead.
I add
You want to say
something,
something?
Naomi? I'm going to say
Yes.
something that's really critical. One of the key things that every school leader struggles with and needs to be really laser focused on that can
Mm,
support these kinds of conversations is getting out of your bubble. Schools
mm.
can very easily give into inertia. We need to focus on our students' numbers, make sure we have enough bums in the seats.
Oh, did we lose her? I think she froze. Yeah, I think she froze.
She froze, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Internet.
Hmm. Let me see. I'm going to wait for her to come back. But wow, wow, wow. I mean, I need to bring you ladies back to the spotlight. I need to bring you all, like, I want to bring you all to the spotlight. At spotlight, where Victoria is gonna come back in at spotlight. Can we even unpack some of the things she just shared? I thought there were so many precious nuggets.
Yes, totally.
Yes.
That
Totally.
I was just smiling. I keep smiling because one of the things she had mentioned, because one of the things I do in my organization is school-based mental health. And
Mm,
those schools that have really embraced, when schools call you and say, come train our teachers
Mm-hmm.
on mental health and emotional intelligence, and you go to class, you say it's 1 hour, and you end up having a 4 hour section because it's a big deal. So
mm,
recently I developed, because UNICEF, they have a life skill curriculum. So I decided to modify it. I called it Basic Life Skill and Resilience for School-Going Children,
wow.
proposing at club level. So this is supposed to be carried on. It cuts across all of this: emotional intelligence, resilience, decision making, communication,
Mm,
mental health. So it's supposed to cut across the whole of the session. So,
mm,
when schools see this and they're like, oh, this is amazing, but how do we implement? And like, you have to take baby steps. Just riding on what Victoria said, take baby steps. Can we do it at club level? Let's pilot it. Take primary 5, primary 6, SS1, SS2, SS3. Let's pilot it. You'll be amazed at how much these children are picking. Like my kids, I have a 9 and an 8-year-old, a boy and a girl. They're two different human beings. I had to relearn that I have to nurture them where they are.
mm,
And it takes a level of, so I just like the fact that people need to leverage on the schools, but the schools also need to know that they have power to change the
mm,
narratives and the dynamics. So leveraging
mm.
on all of these resources, it will be a very fantastic thing. But schools, because like in Nigeria, it's even difficult for you to convince the Ministry of Education that this is necessary. But they tell you there's social study, there's civic education. And I'm like, okay, we're not taking that out of the curriculum, but they only need
Adding to it.
20% of IQ to be good human beings. They only need 20% of IQ to get a job. They need 80% of emotional intelligence to keep the jobs.
Keep
And that's
it.
why you find these children, they come out of school, they're unemployable because they don't know how
Mm,
to live with others. Then I now come back to parents just to touch on what Fina said. Because where we came from, we have been so scared. Oh, we don't want our children to suffer what we've suffered. You do
mm,
not allow them to be exposed so they don't build any resilience. I tell people I'm a
mm,
medical person by profession. If you don't expose your body to malaria, you are not going to have antibodies to fight it when it comes. So
mm,
you guard your child. I don't want anything to happen to my child. You take them to school, you protect them, forgetting that they're going to hit the world. They get to the world, they don't know how to thrive
mm,
because we have protected them. So that's where we also need to come. Another thing that I feel parents, because trust me, the schools are going to do only what you let them do.
mm,
From home, are we available
mm. I hope she
Absolutely.
physically
can
and
hear
emotionally?
you.
We
Yeah.
understand that the life that we have right now, we are all running. We need to get jobs, livelihood, economy. It's okay. But when being available is not your time, but you being there and mindful.
Mm,
I know that I tell my parents sometimes I travel for a whole week. When I come back, if it's 2 hours, on Saturday, I just got back. I sat down, my kids were questioning, what did you do on Monday? What did you do on Tuesday? How did you feel? That is being available, not just being at home.
that's right.
I have friends that are at home. They're upstairs, their kids are downstairs watching TV all day.
Mhm.
That's
So
right.
we need to be conscious
Hmm.
of what we see. I was still speaking to someone today that it is what you did not like growing up. You should ensure you don't see in your children, and it's your responsibility. So many parents, many teachers, they will try, they know these things, but are we letting them
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's
do the
key.
job? They
Mhm.
will still come back home
Mm.
because they'll be like,
They will
you
still
hear
come
teachers
back
telling
home.
teachers will tell you that, man, don't be angry. I don't know how you feel. And because I wanted to explain to there are some parents they don't like. I said, for me, I want to know what my child is doing. But if my child
Explain
messes
to
up,
me.
deal with them. And they'll be like, okay. But there are some parents that don't want, and because their perception doesn't make those parents bad parents.
Mm.
They are just acting out what they know.
Exactly.
They know what
So
they
that is why
know.
for me, every conversation I have it starts with self.
Hmm.
Know thyself and know peace. As a parent, do you even know yourself? Do you know your strengths?
Myself
Do you
and no
know
peace.
many amazing project managers we have there, but they will never do a SWOT analysis of themselves.
Hmm.
Do a SWOT analysis of yourself. Do you know your strength? Do you know your areas of improvement? Are you deliberate? Are you
Hmm.
intentional to break this circle? Nobody's
Hmm.
going to do it for us, unfortunately. And then the reality check, the world has put it on our shoulders as women and mothers.
Hmm. My.
Yes.
Oh,
My. Victoria, where are you? Turn on your video. We need you here. I can hear you laughing. Come back in.
I'm
Come back
here.
in. Turn on your video. I'm
Her
not
video
trying to
is
see
on.
your video.
Her
Yeah, her
video
video
is
is
on.
on. Okay, okay, let me pin
Okay.
her. Okay, I'm gonna pin her. Um, wow.
So
Like this conversation tonight,
Mm.
there's something about it. I'm looking at the time, I'm like, it feels like we've been talking for at least an hour
I know.
because of just the powerful nuggets. Even on YouTube, I'm seeing the comments. We've had engagement over the last 2 days, but the engagement today is quite serious. And so YouTube, we see you, we celebrate you all, and thank you. Please continue to share this. If you know an educator, share this with them. If you are a parent and you know other parents, share this. Even if you're a single person, share this with parents, share this with your neighbors, share it
Yeah.
with people
I
within
think
your
single
church
single people
community.
should share it more so that they are even equipped before
So
they
that they
come
are
in.
prepared.
Some of
Yes,
us, some
exactly.
Exactly.
of us learned on the job.
Exactly.
We are learning on the
Oh
job.
my God.
Exactly.
Honestly, we said this on
Yeah.
Monday. Like
Yeah.
when Chinwe was sharing her story of how she got into a marriage she had no business getting into. I was saying, single people, don't
Mhm.
say that's
Hey,
my
arm
law.
yourself. Arm
Yes,
yourself. Because so many
yesterday,
young people don't even know themselves too.
Of
They are
course.
Yeah.
just
and
moving with the okay, it's time to get married. Go.
Yep. That's it.
What
And
Yep.
why
parents are having a
why
part in that because parents are
Yep.
pressurizing them. It's time for you to
This
get
yes.
is
married.
true.
What will my
Yeah.
friends say? What will
It's
they
time.
say?
Why are you not
Again.
married?
Yeah.
Like you have to get it. So when I tell young people, I'm like, sorry, oh, I've been 10 years married. But there's no trophy for good wife. Oh.
Mm.
There's no
Yeah.
Mhm.
trophy. But marriage
Yeah.
is a beautiful thing, but you
it
have to be
is.
ready and prepared.
Yeah.
Then parenting, like for me, I get mad. You don't have a business having a child if you're not ready for it.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah.
You
It's a
know,
tough work.
hold your
It's
thoughts.
hard work.
Hold your thoughts. I have a
Mm.
friend, and I remember saying this to her that the way we go for marriage, premarital counseling,
Mm.
and without it, churches will not marry you.
Mhm.
Mm.
How is it that it
Mm.
has not become law that
Exactly.
Mm.
before you give birth,
You
you
need
have
to.
to go through
For parenting test.
pre-parental
Yep.
counseling?
Yep.
True.
I think we're there, and we
It's
should start
difficult to
pushing this policy.
legislate.
Yes.
It's
Why would it be
difficult to
difficult?
legislate things like that. It's difficult to legislate things like that because what you would essentially be saying is that government then leaves its sphere and starts to interfere in the
The
private
family.
sphere.
Yes.
And societies carefully guard against that. You carefully guard against the unexpected consequences
Mm.
of government overreach. Behind, so I studied political science for my first degree, and so behind every legislature you need to basically think about um, how to protect the people from
People.
government overreaching. So you
Yeah.
don't want government to
Mm.
operate in this private sphere, trying to tell people how to basically raise their children, set the bar, because that can very easily be abused. And
Abuse.
I,
Yeah.
I know
Wow.
Ade Dotun was saying earlier how preparing for marriage and all of that. But I actually I disagree slightly because it starts much earlier than that. Like I said, yes, you want to do premarital counseling. You want to make sure that people who are thinking of getting married are having these conversations. But like I said, it goes back as early as children being 4 years old, because
Kindergarten.
you and I
Mm.
remember that's when we start playing with dolls. I'm the girlfriend
And the
toy,
girl.
and I'm the
Mhm.
boyfriend toy. So if we're not having
And the
these kinds of
cooking,
conversations
the
that
cooking
early on,
pots.
Cooking.
those abusive abusive characteristics are already taking root and we're already perpetrating those kinds of behaviors, I think it's actually quite too late by the time we get to the stage where you want to get married, because by then you've already had developed unhealthy relationship expectations, expectations
Wow.
that at that point you have to now start going back to change. And part of this, the title for this webinar is preventing. We want to be proactive.
Preventing, yeah.
We don't want to wait.
Proactive.
Yes, that proactivity is why we need to consistently from a young age start discussing how do we treat each other, and not in a gimmicky kind of way where children are like, what is this one talking about? We already know all these things at home, because our kids are really smart. They have access to the internet nowadays that's reinforcing negative stereotypes. But we need to be having real conversations with our children about how to have respectful relationships and what is acceptable in friendships, what is acceptable in relationship dynamics in society. It can even be as much as teachers, avoiding this whole idea of, oh, he's a boy, so he has to be the one that does this in the class, or she's a girl, so she needs to not abide by this stereotype or the other. Those kinds of things are so destructive for teachers to do, which is why it's really important. I was saying before the network went off that educators need to be very careful, from school leaders all the way down to teachers, to not get into this bubble where there's inertia and you're totally disconnected from society. I mean, that's a
Right.
whole nother conversation, but many schools forget that a school is a nucleus of the society. If you become disengaged from the society and you live in a bubble, then you're preparing children for a world that doesn't really exist. Are they going to work in
At
your
all.
school? Are they going to be married in your school? Are they going to have children in your school? So I think we need to be careful to make sure that as educators, we plan in, we write in training not only for teachers, because this still goes back to the cognitive of hyper focus that we have. Train the teachers so the children can learn better, train them so they can have better grades. That's good. Let's keep that. But let's remember that the training also needs to be for the school leaders. Because the school leaders are the ones that set the agenda for the learning. The teachers many times are just carrying through the instructions. So
That
if
they
you
were
have
given.
school leaders who can't even have these kinds of conversations because they themselves are part of this destructive narratives, then how can it filter into the discourse that children are having? So I
Wow.
really commend you, Naomi, for having this kind of conversation, because it's breaking the silence. That's the most important thing. It's taking away the power of the shame that Fina mentioned earlier. And it's
Right.
not just African culture. Please hear me.
Yeah.
Some of the happiest countries in the world, like Finland, Sweden, they have the highest gender-based violence statistics.
Yes.
Yes, in the US. Absolutely. So it's a
The
global
global thing.
pandemic. It's not
Yeah.
something, I don't want us to get into this, Africa now, that kind of conversation where at the
Wow.
end of the day, we make it seem like it's an African thing. It's not an African thing.
It's a global thing.
Gender-based violence is a global phenomenon, and we need to be breaking the silence with conversations like that and engendering conversations in our school communities, in our worship communities, so that we can actually start having those difficult conversations that bring the negative relationship dynamics to light.
Wow.
Can I also
Fina,
add
yes, I'm
something?
coming to you. I'm
Yes,
coming to you.
yes,
So please take
yes.
it away.
I just
Take it
wanted to
away.
add something from what Victoria was talking about, because for me, one of the things that I'm very passionate about as well is that collaboration between the school and the home. The engagement, the partnership is so vital, because as much as the educators would invest in SEL curriculum, all these things that they will invest in, there needs to be a relationship with the parents,
Absolutely.
so that the parents
Yes.
can continue with what the school is doing. Because
That's
if
right.
there is no connection, then the school is doing one thing, the parents are doing something else. The children are not connecting it, because it's like, okay, my parents are doing this, the school is doing this, so it's not something that I need to do. When I'm in school, I will mask and be with what the school wants me to be. When I'm at home, I'll unmask and be what the home wants me to be. So the
Wow.
children grow up so unprepared, so ill-equipped.
Yeah.
So the partnership between parents and the educators is so vital in this
Critical.
home.
Yeah.
It's so vital
Yes.
because we
Yes.
want to
Absolutely.
start speaking the same language.
Language.
But
Mm.
there's a part to this. There must be respect between both parties. The
Absolutely.
school must
Mutual
respect
respect.
the teachers. The parents must respect the teachers. That
Just
mutual
Absolutely.
respect is key. When children can see the collaboration and the partnership between educators
100%.
and their family homes, they're more keen
Yeah.
to get on board
Yeah.
because they know that this is a two-way thing. My school is saying
Yes.
this, my parents are saying this. This is life. But where there's that disconnect, then there are problems because no one is getting through to the children. The teachers are not getting through, the parents are not getting through. The children are left on their own by their own device.
Yeah.
And so that
Yeah.
collaboration between educators and parents is very vital in this conversation that we're having as well.
I think the team did a great one, bringing the
Absolutely.
role of teachers and parents and even mental health
Mental health, oh yes,
together on
all
the same
connected.
day.
All
So
connected.
a big shout out to my team,
Yes.
working tirelessly behind the scenes and
Yes.
just because I'm really loving the combination we have going on tonight. So I'm going to come back to you, Adedo, to tell us about the need and the place of therapy. There's still that stigma around therapy. People feel like, it's I'm not crazy.
shrink. Shrink.
Yes, the shrink. I have a client and an amazing friend who is really advocating for that word, mental health, to be changed to brain health. Because when she broke it down for me, honestly, I'm like, this is unbelievable. Because when you just add the word mental, it's the same. If someone says they have a heart condition, no one feels it's anything out of place. If you say you have a waist condition, there's no problem. If you say you have a leg condition, the
Yeah.
moment you say mental, it's like this one don't
Stigma.
It's
craze.
a trigger.
Yeah.
Something, the
It's a
nuts have
trigger.
fallen off.
It's a trick.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So
talk to us about the place of therapy and the need for parents, especially, to even begin to consider this. And I think we need to normalize that it's okay to not be okay.
okay.
Like, we need to normalize that. It's okay to not be okay and to seek help. It's not you, if not even for you. Can we have it in black and white tonight? That even if it's not for you, do it for the sake of your children and generations unborn. Because this cycle is too, it's repeating itself. It's on autopilot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I came out of a situation where every time I share the story, now with the understanding I have, I give so much empathy to that person because I know that he was a victim at some point in his life. And without getting the right help, you become what you hate. They say hurting
This
people
is
hurt
true.
others.
Yes.
It's such a
Yeah.
vicious cycle. So if
It
you are
is.
thinking,
Yes.
I can't expose myself to therapy, do it for your children and your grandchildren.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and don't
Yeah.
get to an old age and then you see it play before your eyes. And then you now start saying village people,
Yeah.
generational patterns. What you break that generational pattern. Can we even talk about that?
Yep.
Can we talk about that?
Yes, I'm happy to do that. And we'll start from the basics. So I'll just start from where someone wants to change the terminology mentor. Why is it you hear mentor? It's a trigger of craziness. Thanks to the definition we put to it, the understanding, the misconception, the stigma around mental health. And in this part of the world, it is still very new, thanks to COVID. It has been there, but people had already all thought mental means someone that is going crazy. But conversations like this, because there's a huge knowledge gap, it's not about the terminology.
Knowledge gap.
So if you see the definition of health says someone, a total physical, mental, and social well-being, not necessarily the absence of disease or infirmity. That's when you say you're healthy. So your physical health, your mental health, your social well-being, where we are talking about social and emotional well-being,
Mm,
then you're healthy. So, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, we had focused more on the physical.
mm,
Yeah.
We neglected the mental. And that's why when you see people that are crazy on the street, we only think that's mental. So it brings us. So it starts from us learning what mental health means. Mental health simply means you understanding your ability to cope with daily life stresses. And at the same time, you're still a good individual and you are supported and a part of your community. That's what mental, in all of these stories, the way you think, the way you feel, the way you act, that's mental health. So we
mm,
can't change the terminology, but we need to change the stereotype and the misconception about what mental health. That's where all of us collectively we come in.
Yeah.
That's one. Secondly, it's not going to happen overnight.
mm,
The many parents that we have understood that because in our society, anything that we do not have a name for, that we don't understand, is spiritual.
Mm.
And the first place you go to is the spiritual home. The spiritual home that is not equipped with the right knowledge, capacity to provide support, they will do what they think they know.
Mhm.
That is the second phase. Then the place of therapy, I'll bring it home. Nigeria, we have a huge shortage of mental health resource, in fact, human resource for health generally. Then, furthermore, human resource for mental health. So we have very few psychiatrists, we have very few psychologists. But then go to the shift in public health where there's a lot of trickling down of services. You can trickle it down to other service providers, you allied providers. You can do task shifting. We're beginning to understand that everybody needs to have the basic understanding of providing psychological first aid. Remember when we were in
mm,
school, they all taught us about
Mhm.
first aid,
Mhm.
mm,
CPR, breathing.
mm.
Nobody knew that there was anything like psychological first aid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So all of this thing is the understanding and the knowledge. We all need to build this. So we don't have that resource for health. Then we want to go to the churches. Then the few ones that are available, they are not affordable. They are not
Mm,
accessible.
Yeah. Yeah.
mm,
So many people would want the service, but they can't afford it. That's why people used to think that mental health condition is a rich man's problem
Mhm.
because
mm,
they can afford it. So how do we now
mm,
ensure that everybody have access to quality, affordable mental health services?
Yeah.
Can we begin to look inward? In this society, I don't know when it's going to end. Our first point of call is the church, the religious body.
Mhm.
Can we begin to build a
or the mosque for those who are
or the
Muslims.
mosque? Yes, we
Mm,
need to build the capacity. There are people that naturally they have that empathy, kindness to provide this support. Can we build them with the basic capacity, the
mm,
skills to provide at least psychological first aid? That way, it bridges the gap of the affordability. Then the knowledge around
mm,
therapy, the movies we have watched, the kind of things that we are seeing, they have projected them as a madness thing.
Mhm.
Can we
mm,
now begin to change what
Mhm.
we're watching? Those that are producing movies, those that are producing content, can
Yes,
we begin to use those
my
mediums to
goodness,
change
that's such a powerful one.
mindset,
totally.
Mm,
mindset, so
the
that
role of
people begin to
media.
understand the real concept around mental health. Mental health is not the problem. The same way gender-based violence is
Yeah.
not a battle between women and men.
Mm.
It is a battle between a
Mm.
fluid societal norm.
Yep. Yeah, that's it. Absolutely.
Mm,
So then lastly, what I would say is for us to break the silence, we must begin to foster open conversations.
Yeah.
We begin to normalize this conversation.
Mhm.
It is
yes.
mental health. Let's call it mental health. I remember when I started doing mental health, my dad said, "Are you okay? You have gone to do public health. You left clinical practice. Now you have gone to do public. Now it's mental. What is mental health?"
Yeah.
Well, I had to take my time, patiently educate them. My dad is not, before you say something, say, the problem of this nation, it reached to affect your mental health.
Oh,
That is how we have to.
Daddy, Daddy is on point.
that's it. That's it.
So it's everybody's responsibility.
Yes.
That's
It's
right.
my responsibility, it's your responsibility. And I really love what Victoria said. We cannot say we will wait. We have seen that mental health issues date back as age 6 to 14, many
Mm,
of them. So that is
Yeah.
why the children are our core. Many of us, we are doing rehabilitation now because
Yeah.
preventive has
Oh,
passed.
totally. Oh, totally.
Prevention
Preventive
has
has
passed.
passed.
Oh,
Has
totally.
passed.
Yeah.
But we need to focus on the generation coming. And we really need to do that now, especially because of the kind of information that is out there.
Yeah.
Overload.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have access, the times have changed, realities have changed. We need to be more deliberate. And
Yeah.
people need to understand that right now, education system need to invest more on that. So
Oh, did
Oh,
we lose her?
Absolutely.
No,
yeah.
I need to hear what she had to say.
Yes,
So
She's back.
she's back.
say it. The education system needs
Needs
to.
to.
okay, so the system needs to focus on the emotional and social well-being because that's what makes us become good human beings. That is
Yeah.
what makes us, that's why our
Yeah.
society, we have so many badly behaved people. They are bad. Anyhowness is the order because we're not emotionally intelligent as human beings. So if we need to start taking the children. In my house, they know. Now, when you ask my daughter, what does your mommy do? My mommy does mental health. She will ask, what is this? I will explain in the little way
In the little way,
I
yeah.
can. In fact, I was
Yeah.
writing a book for 6 to 8 years.
Oh, bless.
Yeah.
We
We
need her
lost
to
her
come
again.
back and finish her
The
thought.
internet will not win.
It will not win. It will
Yeah,
not
we're gonna
win. The
speak.
book she's writing. So I
Yeah.
will
Yeah.
wait for her to
Am
come
I
back.
still being
But
heard?
okay, yes,
Sorry.
Yes,
yes,
now you're back.
yeah. I'm
Okay.
bringing you back. Just 1 second. Let me pin you, so that you can finish.
I can
You were
just write.
talking about the
Yes.
book. Yes, we're talking about
Yes.
the
So
book.
it's the garden of emotion. So I had put pictures. What is when bright, you put a star or a flower and say this is the kind of emotion. They need to start understanding that it's okay to
Yeah,
be angry, but what do
yeah,
you do with your emotion? The emotions
absolutely.
are not the problem. Emotions are thoughtless, they are breathless, they are neither bad or good, or how we use them. They need to start understanding at this stage. So thank you,
Mm,
Victoria, for nailing that. Like you can't overemphasize on the fact that the children are our priority, and we need for this prevention to happen. We need to start
we need
there.
to start
Yeah.
early.
Thank you.
Wow. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Fina. I'm just going to take your closing thoughts. I mean, yesterday, this was also the recommendations from the men. They
Yeah.
were like, no, we got to keep this going on. And I
Recommend.
don't know how we're going to do it, but I am glad we did it. And I'm hearing everyone saying we need more of this. I'm
Mhm.
going to go back to the team. They're watching and we will figure it out. If it's once a month or twice a month, I think we can continue to use our platform because I absolutely believe in using, digital media platforms for social good.
Yeah.
And it won't take anything if we take an hour every other week to just have these conversations and just little by little, little by little. And so this is also a call to everyone watching. There's so many tips that have been shared tonight, and even as the speakers will share their closing thoughts, take your own. Don't say, oh, wow, great, great job, amazing speakers, they're doing good. Ask yourself, go back and say, what can I do? Even as
Yeah.
little as intentionally saying, can I create a list of 10 people I know? Those who are parents, those who are leaders in church, those who teach, those who are school owners or educators. Can I create a list of 10 people and share this link with them? That could be all you do. And
It's
they pick up the link and they get the aha moment and they begin to implement. And we never will
Exactly.
really know how
How
far this
far?
conversation would have gone
absolutely.
because of the little that you did. So I'm encouraging
Yeah.
everyone, live or on the replay, ask
Absolutely.
yourself, what can I do? This is my own little to say, how can we tap into this 16 days of activism? We wanted to do a physical event. There was so much going on, and we're like, okay, let's do virtual. Then we had a plan of one speaker per day for 16 days. And then work has to take me away early December. I said, fine, we're going to bring everybody together in 1 week. Instead of one speaker a day, we're going to bring 3, 4 speakers a day. And we're doing it. I could have just said, you know what, till next year. But I don't know if someone watching right now has next year. I don't know if there's a woman who has seen
Mm.
this and who now feels like, okay, there's a way for me. I can reach out for help. I can
Yeah.
get therapy. I can be intentional about raising my children. I remember a couple of months ago, I saw the ad Emotion City. I feel they're doing great work. and they had emotional intelligence for kids. I enrolled my children, and they have another one in December. It's a boot camp, and the kids are going and be going and enter.
Yeah.
I'm not, like you said, with some of us are in rehabilitation. Let's just get them ready.
Yes.
Yeah.
Intentional parenting. Fina,
Yes.
please give us your closing thoughts, and then I'll come back to you, Victoria, for your
Okay,
closing
I
thoughts.
want
Thank you.
to, my closing thoughts is quite simple, but it's just a story I just wanted to share very, very quickly. And it was just an Instagram post I saw maybe 2 weeks ago of a brother flogging his sister. And these were not young people. This is like adult brother flogging the sister because the sister had a tattoo of her boyfriend on the shoulder. So was really flogging, and the video was on. My cry was the comment section.
Hey,
Yes,
Vita.
serves her rights. Yes. What does she mean by going to put tattoo of her boyfriend? Serves her. And I was just shocked.
Yeah, yeah.
And so this problem is very
Reinforcement.
wide. It's very spread.
Yes.
But I'll close it up with this. Alvin Toffler has this quote that I love, and I use it all the time. And he says, the illiterates of the 21st century, they won't be those who cannot read or write. No, back in the days, it's people that couldn't read or write. They were termed
That
illiterate.
were illiterates.
The illiterates of 21st century are those people who are unwilling to learn, unlearn, and relearn.
And really.
So my plea to everyone that's watching this, there's some things that many of us have said here that you can learn from. There's some things that you can unlearn, and there's some things that you can relearn.
That's right.
Do yourself a favor. Be the one to break the cycle.
Break it,
Absolutely.
break.
Learn, unlearn, relearn. Not just for us, as all of us have said. Adeton said, Victoria said, it's not just about us. It's for our generation. It's for this next generation. Pick up the baton. Speak up.
Yes.
Seek help.
Yes.
Go therapy.
Yeah,
Educators and parents collaborate together. Parents, be intentional. Seek help. There's nothing wrong with seeking help. Seeking help as a parent doesn't mean that you're a bad parent. It means you're intentional and you want the best.
There's
Let's do
nothing
this,
wrong.
guys. Because at the end, when God says, what did you do with what I gave you? What's your answer going to be? Thank you.
My goodness, Fina. And as Fina was speaking, so those who don't know, I've got 4 kids, but 2 adults now and 2 little ones. It's the 2 little ones I was talking about going through Emotion City. As far back as 6 years ago, at least 6-7 years ago, Fina, I've known Fina for a long time, and Fina works with teenagers, especially boys. I enrolled them. It was a time where I felt so helpless. As a matter of fact, the one that was the the one Fina understands. The one I felt, this child, who did I offend? Today is one that I promise you, there's no day I go to I'm at my local church and people are not stopping me to say, oh my goodness, your son.
So,
Oh, I love him. Oh, he's amazing. Oh, he's this. Oh, he's that. Fina knows years ago, this was not the story. But I was willing to make the investment to say, this is as much as I can do. Fina has the expertise and the wherewithal to help. So take this sons of mine. And so openly, Fina, I thank you. Yesterday I went to my old account to check my post. I saw the video my son, I don't want to call his name out, had done. And I saw your comment about him. And do you know, I read a lot of things people were saying about this boy. And today, almost 5 years later, is his reality. He's a grown adult now, but is one, like, I am so proud of these boys. But at some point, I felt helpless, but I was willing to say, I was exposing them, even when I didn't have an understanding of what was going to come out of it. So don't be helpless. You're watching this as a parent. Don't give up on those children. Don't say, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing they're not hearing. No, they will hear somebody. Just give them the opportunity. So please connect with Fina Chichi. If you're following us at the Women with Stories, please look out for her posts. We're going to put all the highlights of our speakers and we'll put their handles. Please connect with them and get the help that you need. Once again, Fina, thank you. Thank you for what you did for me personally. Thank you for what you're doing for so many parents out there. I appreciate you
Oh,
and I really celebrate and honor the work you're doing. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Victoria, Victoria, close it out for us. And then, of course,
well,
Adedo, I'm still going to come back to you for your closing thoughts. Victoria,
there's
closing
so
thoughts.
much to say, but I think I'll break it down to what I mentioned earlier. As school owners, school leaders, educators, we have a huge part to play in shaping the future. And that means, first of all, we need to make sure that we break the silence. Right, we
Break
need
the
to use
silence.
our platform as educators to break the silence. And that
Mm,
means making sure that we use the curriculum, we use the learning environment all the
mm,
way now. The way we use the terminology in education circles now has a lot to do with safeguarding, right? We don't
mhm,
say mental health, but we say a
No,
lot
it's
of
safeguard.
yes, your safeguarding measures start all the way from your hiring
Guarding.
process, from your
Mm,
advertising the positions that are available to filter the kind of people that come into your community, not just
mm,
staff, but also prospective parents. Sharing your school's clear vision, even if it means you tweaking your school's vision, your school's mission to make it more inclusive of
mm,
the issues like this, values like this, and then making sure that that runs through. There's the golden thread that runs straight from the mission, vision to your curriculum to the
mm,
way that you actually play out your learning activities, the learning environment, the engagement with parents. There's so many opportunities for you to have a robust social emotional learning program that incorporates safeguarding. It's everybody's responsibility. And
that's
I
right.
know educators say all the time, how many things are we going to do? But instead of viewing it as a burden, we it's a privilege for us to be able to shape the future in this powerful way. So use that
Mm,
power for good. Help in our situation in Nigeria. We the private schools have to almost set the agenda many times to prompt the public sector. But we as private educators have the opportunity to influence this conversation and hopefully get the public sector to pick it up as well. So reach out, don't be in a bubble, try to take advantage of the fact that you are a lifelong learner. So learn.
mm,
There's no shame in saying, I need to go back. And you never stop learning. You never get too advanced to be learning because you're constantly
right.
having to impact the learning of the children. So stay connected, reach out, take advantage of the resources in the community, and you will help shape the future for good. Yeah. Thank you,
Wow.
Naomi.
Wow. As Victoria was speaking, I was like, I know great people.
Amazing.
I know amazing women
Yes.
and men. So my brothers from yesterday don't say, hey, what are you talking about? I am so blessed with a strong community of intelligent women and men that just with a text message, no questions asked. I got you. Thank you, Victoria. You are so brilliant. The work you do, I believe this is just the beginning. And as short as this time has been, I feel so strongly that the effect of our conversations tonight will go
Yeah.
far. It will go far. It will go wide, and change
Yeah.
will happen. Thank you. Thank you, Victoria. Thank you so much. I did to my new friend who said yes without even knowing who I am and what I am about, just knowing that this conversation was going to happen around mental health. You said yes. I want to hear your final thoughts. And I've checked your work. Again, everyone needs to connect with you. Your you recently had an event. I spent some good time on your page just looking through. And I remember just saying, yeah, she's she's good. I need her. I need her. I need her. Thank you for the work you're doing as well.
Thank you so
I
much.
celebrate you and I honor you. Let's hear your closing thoughts.
Thank you so much. So for me, I tell people, change starts from you
Mm,
and where you are.
mm,
Nobody is going, there's no reward or there's no trophy for wherever you start, but please start now. And
mm,
secondly, you need to speak up, not just speak out. Many people are on the socials, they are just speaking out to thin air. They are not getting help. Speaking up, you know that you need help. You're vulnerable to seek help. It doesn't make you weak. It means you know you're strong to identify that I am at a point where I cannot help myself. So please speak to professionals. There is no harm in it. Well, I know in our society, people say, I'll just be talking, they will make me a headline. Don't worry, you'll be a headline for about 1 day or two. Another story is going to come, but you're going to get the help you need. So please, and don't be ashamed of whatever your children is going through right now. It's something that they will go through. But if you keep quiet in shame and silence, it's going to build up to become something worse. And that's why you see a lot of suicidal ideation. You see people losing self-worth. You see people going to depression because it's a build-up. And lastly, everything we see is never what it is. It's the tip of the iceberg. Let's not be too quick to judge people by what we see. Let's be kind. Let's be empathetic. Because that's the only way we're going to change the narrative. And because mental health is everybody's business and it matters. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
What a night. What? Thank you, ladies. If we had to stay another hour, we would still be here. But I just really want to say thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you too. Thank you for what you're doing.
Honestly,
Thank you.
thank you.
I feel like we should have these conversations every day.
I hear you. I hear
Because
you.
there's too
And I'm
much.
going to come back to everyone. No, honestly, I'm going to come back to all of us and we're going to see what is possible. I feel like this was just a start. I think there's a lot more that's going to come out of this and I'm excited. The guys already got together last night.
Sorry, one last thing, just to build some thoughts. We have heard a lot about empowering the girl child. Please, let's not leave out the boy child.
Oh no.
Because that's unempowered boy child is going to beat that empowered girl child.
Yeah.
So
this was Coach Didi's conversation. Bad boys will become bad men who will beat up the good girls that you have trained.
That's right.
So yes, we need to. That's a whole different conversation. I know the men came together last night. Right now they are in a group, thinking up something that the world will see and hear. And these were 3 men who did not know each other until I brought them together. So something is happening beyond what I thought this was going to be. And for that, I am thankful to God. And I'm thankful for my team. I'm thankful for strength to go through a long day and come on live and host, phenomenal speakers from around the world. I mean, yesterday we had Tunde joining us from California. We had TJ in Benin, and then we had Kelvin in Abuja. Today I have, 3 of us are in Abuja, and then we have Fina in the UK. What a power panel. Thank you, beautiful ladies.
So much. I'm gonna connect with you guys. This
yes,
is the beginning of more to come.
I will do the hookup. It looks like
Victoria, I'm coming to you for the schools. The schools.
Please, you're in Abuja. I was going to say one more thing, if I may. One thing that I did not say that I should say. We need to all remember that you're not helping the perpetrator by maintaining silence. You're not protecting them. Instead, you're doing them harm because you're depriving them of the opportunity to get the help that they need. And you're depriving them of the opportunity to basically prevent the situation from becoming fatal. You have the power by exposing it, because many times when people expose gender-based violence, it's like you've done a bad thing, you've ratted out your snitch. Actually saving a life. You're actually saving a life. You're helping the perpetrator and you're helping the victims as well. So yeah.
Absolutely. We can't finish this conversation. Don't worry.
Bravo.
I know, right?
Ladies, once again, thank you
Yes.
to all my people on YouTube. Oh my goodness, I am seeing insightful session. Very important. Thank you. Someone said yes every week. Indeed. Thank you. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you, replay viewers. Please connect with us at the Women with Stories and look out for the beautiful handles of all our experts as we post the reviews tomorrow, the quotes, and just some of the highlight moments of this session. Thank you again, my beautiful ladies. I'm going to do the
Thank
connection.
you,
Yes.
Queen.
Yes.
Thank you so
Take
much.
effect.
I look forward to that. Thank you. Have a
Thank
good evening,
you.
Bye.
everyone.
Nice meeting
All
all of
right.
Bye.
you. Thank you.
Same here.
Okay, bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you, everyone.